Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Truckers Podcast, FYI. I'm your host, Doug from Ontario, Canada. It is 8:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Southern Ontario. It is the 19th of February, and it is also Family Day, a holiday here in Ontario, provincially, not federally. Good morning, and thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Doug from Ontario, Canada, of the Truckers Podcast, FYI. Yeah, so today is Family Day here in Ontario, Canada. It is a provincial holiday, not a federal holiday. So federal workers, they'll be going to work. And provincially, um, like gas stations will be open. Restaurants will be open, movie theaters will be open. Um, we got free public skating if you want to go do that. Um, Grocery stores, across the province and in cities will be closed today. So if you didn't get your shopping done yesterday, well, I guess you're going to have to wait until tomorrow. So one thing I like to do when I'm doing a podcast is doing as much research on a topic as I possibly can, and cross-referencing research, to get as close to a definite answer as I possibly can, and looking for the truth, and doing fact checks, to find the answers. So I'm sure you probably heard of the carnivore diet. It's controversial. People out there claim that it's got a lot of great health benefits. Now, the carnivore diet is just eating animal products and nothing else. So it's your red meat, your chicken, your pork, your sausages, your hot dogs, and so on, right? Nothing else. Now, people claim that, you know, just eating animal products had beneficial health outcomes for them. Two people in particular that come to mind is Jordan Peterson, who is a clinical psychiatrist here in Ontario, Canada. Well, he has the license. He doesn't practice or teach it anymore. And his daughter, Michaela Peterson, are so pro on this carnivore diet. And then there's other people out there, other doctors who are promoting this carnivore diet. And then if you go on YouTube and you just search carnivore diets, I mean, it's just going to flood. It's going to overflow right out of your laptop. So doctors like Dr. Neil Bedard, Dr. Joel Furman, just to name a couple, They've been doctors their entire lives. They've done multiple studies, and I'm not, doing case studies or observational studies or whatever the case may be. They've been doing these studies on nutrition for over 30 years. And they conduct these studies. They don't do this 6 to 8 week study, then come with a conclusion. No, they do these studies over 20 years. I think it's Dr. Neil Barnard who has the book out there, Eat to Beat Disease. And there seems to be, conflict when it comes to, just eating animal products on a daily basis, excluding every other food item out there, like all your vegetables and fruits. Carnivore diets don't eat any of that stuff, right? They'll eat a steak in the morning for breakfast with salt and water, a steak for lunch with salt and water, a steak for dinner with salt and water. This is all they eat, claiming it has great health benefits. Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter, claimed that eating the carnivore diet, it cured her osteoporosis. Others claim it cured their arthritis. Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson, Michaela's father, claimed that it helped him clear up his manic depressant. There's others out there that people out there on the carnivore, oh, it improved my heart health. It lowered my cholesterol, my LDLs. Red meat and processed meat linked to increased risks of heart disease. And this is from the Oxford study. Globally, coronary heart disease caused by narrowed arteries that supply the heart with blood claim nearly 9 million lives each year, the largest of any disease, and present a huge burden to health systems. Until now, has been unclear whether eating meat increases the risk of heart disease, and if this varies for different kinds of meat. So these researchers at the University of Oxford's Newfield Department of Population Health have conducted the largest systemic review of the prospective evidence to date, including 13 cohort studies involving over 1.4 million people. And the study participants completed detailed dietary assessments. Their health was tracked for up to 30 years, and the results are published today in the critical views of food science and nutrition. And overall, the evidence from this indicated that each 50 grams a day higher intake of processed meat, like bacon, ham, sausages, increased the risk of coronary heart disease by 18%. Each 50 grams a day higher intake of unprocessed red meat, such as beef, lamb, and pork, increased the risk of coronary heart disease by 9%. The findings of the high content of saturated fat in red meat and of sodium, salt in processed meat High intakes of saturated fat increase levels of harmful low-density lipoprotein, the LDL cholesterol. Excessive salt consumption raises blood pressure. So they had, and then the previous work from the same research team also indicate that even moderate intake of red and processed meats are associated with increased risk of bowel cancer. And these are doctors. This one Dr. Karen Papier, she's the co-lead author of this study. Red meat and processed meat have been consistently linked with bowel cancer, and that their findings suggest an additional role in heart disease. Therefore, current recommendations to limit red meat and processed meats consumption may also assist with the prevention of coronary heart disease. Currently in the United Kingdom, about 10 in 100 people would be expected to eventually die from coronary heart disease based on the findings from the present study and current red meat processed meat intakes in the United Kingdom. If all these 100 people reduce their unprocessed red meat intake by 3/4, for example, from 4 times a week to 1 time a week, if they stopped consuming processed meat altogether, deaths from coronary heart disease would decrease from 10 in 100 down to 9 in 100. What would that do if they just eliminated processed meats and red meats altogether? Now, another study came. I was just reading this morning, and it was shocking, actually. This study finds cutting back on red meat has little impact on health. This was a major Canadian-led study. Finds there's no need to cut down red and processed red meat consumption. They're saying that most people can continue to eat red meat, processed meat as they do now. So there was a panel of international scientists led by researchers at the Dalhousie and McMaster universities, reviewed the evidence and have recommended that most adults should continue to eat their current levels of red meat and processed meat. The researchers performed 4 systematic reviews focused on randomized controlled trials and observational studies looking at the impact of red meat and processed meats consumption on the cardiometabolic and cancer outcomes. And in one review of 12 trials with 54,000 people, the researchers did not find statistically significant or any important association between meat consumption and the risk of heart disease, diabetes, or cancer. In 3 systematic reviews of cohort studies followed millions of people, a very small reduction in risk among those who had 3 fewer servings of red meat or processed meats a week, but the association was uncertain. And then the authors did a 5th review looking at people's attitudes and health-related values around eating red meat and processed meats. They found people eat meat because they see it as healthy. They like the taste. And they are reluctant to change their diet. This is not just another study on red meat, processed meat, but a series of high quality, systematic reviews resulting in the recommendations. So they think that this is a far more transparent, robust, and reliable, he said. So then, I was thinking to myself, with all the research that's been conducted over decades by nutritionists, like Dr. Neil Bernard and other doctors, nutritionists. And then I come across another article. It was written by the Washington Post. The red meat study, and the same study that I just talked to you about, the red meat has ties to programs partly backed by the beef industry. Failed to mention this. And when I was reading that first article, the one I just read you, thinking to myself, nah, the beef industry has to be involved in this one way or the other, because they only want the answers they're looking for. So this nutrition research group, what I just talked about here in Canada, the recent study drew heavy attention for downplaying the risk of red meat and has received funding from a university program partly backed by the beef industry. The study, in well-known, respected in internal medicine, rocked the nutrition world by suggesting that negative health effects of red meat and processed meat have been overstated. The international group of researchers headed by Bradley C. Johnson, Dr. Bradley C. Johnson of Dalhousie University in Canada, concluded that warnings linking meat consumption to heart disease and cancers are not backed by good scientific evidence. And the group, which calls itself the Nutri-Rex, recommend that meat eaters continue their current levels of consumption. But undisclosed in the study was that this consortium of about 20 researchers has also formed a partnership with an arm of Texas A&M University, partially funded by the beef industry. And the omission to the latest twist on the ongoing debate about how much researchers ought to disclose to the public about potential conflicts of interest. So back in April, Johnson announced that the agricultural and the life science program at Texas A&M would join the consortium and provide generous support. And the AgriLife includes a beef cattle teaching program, educational workshop for cattle ranchers, promotion of Texas beef to consumers, the Texas Beef Checkoff program, and industry marketing arm paid for the cattle ranchers themselves, has funded a number of the AgriLife studies. And so I was thinking to myself, like, there's, how could anybody, go on this carnivore diet and just eat animal products 3 times a day with no other nutrition? So this AgriLife also has done 170 million research in 2019. 4.5 million in beef, half of that from federal sources like the USDA, and the other half from industry groups. But Johnson, he did not respond to questions about any beef industry connections, but defended the study as providing critical information for people about the health consequences of eating meat. And he says, I hope you can focus on the bigger picture, including that science and what the public should know about red and processed meats so that you can make their own decisions, he said via email. You might also look at the intellectual and financial conflicts, of our adversaries. But the critics also argue that the connection should have been disclosed, and he should have disclosed it. When you have the beef industry involved in a research, and this doctor just makes these claims without disclosing that, in fact, the beef industry did pay, if not for all, for some of this research. Now, red and processed meats linked to heart disease, mega study says. So, here we already have a conflict of interest. One study telling you that there is no link to heart disease or cancers or diabetes because of consuming processed meats and red meats. Then you have studies, red and processed meats linked to heart disease, diabetes, colon cancer. Eating beef, lamb, pork, and processed meats will increase your risk of coronary heart disease later in life, according to a new meta-analysis of studies on over 1.4 million people who were followed for 30 years. So how long did that study go on at McMaster and Dalhousie universities here in Canada? Was it a 6-week study, an 8-week study, a 2-year study, a 10-year study? Now we're talking we were followed for 30 years. So will increase your risk of coronary heart disease, also called coronary artery disease. The condition is a leading cause of death and disability globally. It develops with its fatty deposits of cholesterol, create plaque buildup in the walls of the arteries that supply blood to the heart. So the risk of coronary heart disease increased as the amount of meat increased, according to the study published in the Journal of the Critical Reviews in Food Science and Nutrition. So for each 1.7 ounce or 50 grams of beef, lamb, and pork eaten, the risk of coronary heart disease rose 9%. A recommended serving of meat is about 3 ounces, 85 grams, about the size of a bar of soap or a deck of cards. So for each 1.7 ounces, 50 grams of processed meats such as bacon, ham, and sausage that were eaten, the risk rose by 18%. processed meat appears to be worse for the coronary heart disease. And this is in line with it has been found in for bowel cancer, where processed meats have been shown to be associated with higher increased risk than red meat. So 9 to 18% doesn't sound like much of a risk, but you might want to consider a few people eat less than 2 ounces of rear meat or processed meat at any meal. So take out restaurant dinner at a typical cut of beef, as an example, um, um, fillets or sirloin strip or ribeye steaks eaten at a steakhouse can weigh between 9 to 12 ounces. So it's 255 to 345 grams. That means you could easily consume about 5 to 7 ounces, 142 to 198 grams of beef in a single meal. And did you have bacon for breakfast? Your risk is even higher. And did you go through McDonald's drive-thru and get the bacon and egg and sausage sandwich along with your deep fried hash brown? And what did you have for lunch? Did you just go to the corner restaurant and have a salad? Or did you sit down there and run over to Burger King this time and had a Whopper, large fries, and a Coca-Cola? The North American diet is just horrible. It really is. I was reading an article the other day, and here in the city that I reside in, there's going to be a small plaza built on a floodplain. The city okayed it, and they're going to put in another McDonald's. And like the city really, really needs another McDonald's. Seriously. Now, so what they're saying here is that, okay, not everybody is going to stop eating animals, obviously. Cut back on how much, processed meat that you eat, red meat that you eat, eating a steak no bigger than a bar of soap once a week, twice a week. I mean, there's so many, different varieties of healthy foods out there for us to consume. Not having, the meat and potato diet that we all grew up on every single day. Switch to a plant-based diet. Studies have shown the best diets to follow to reduce risk of heart disease are plant-based. And rankings for best diet for heart health, the Mediterranean diet tied with the DASH diet and the Amish diet for top honors and best held heart for that healthy heart. So the Mediterranean diet took the gold medal for overall best diet in 2021 ranking. Such high accolades are not surprising, as numerous studies have found that Mediterranean diet can reduce the risk of diabetes, high cholesterol, dementia, memory loss, depression. and breast cancer. In the Mediterranean diet region also has been linked to stronger bones, healthier heart, and longer life. And the diet features simple plant-based cooking, with the majority of each meal focused on fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans, and seeds, with a few nuts, and heavy emphasis on extra virgin olive oil. Say goodbye to refined sugar and flour, except on rare occasions. Fats other than olive oil, such as butter, are consumed rarely, if at all. Meat can make a rare appearance, usually to flavor a dish. Instead of meals may include eggs, dairy, poultry, but in much smaller portions. To me, dairy is scary. So there's one idea. You can just totally just go plant-based, vegan. Of course, not everybody's going to do that. Everybody likes that lean cut of beef or chicken or pork. Eating it medium raw. Now, so this one here was another one. So this internal medicine issues a correction about researchers' undisclosed conflict of interest, right? Linking the chief researcher to the meat industry. Again, with that Dalhousie McMaster study on red meat. So, things that we can do, obviously, is if at any time, you feel you want to, change up your diet, or, you want to go vegan, or whatever the case may be, it's always important to um, talk to your doctor. What is the best plan for you? You may have underlying health conditions. Maybe you know that you do. Maybe you're on medications for high blood pressure. Maybe you're on medications to lower cholesterol. Maybe you're diabetic. Maybe you've already been diagnosed with heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, colon cancer. You have to follow your doctor. But you can make informed decisions too by talking with your doctor. What I don't particularly like is when people spread disinformation. And people who get out onto these social platforms that are so readily available to us. and spread disinformation. There is, and I just kept looking and looking and looking up stuff. There is no scientific evidence pointing to the um, accounts by, Dr. Jordan Peterson and his daughter Michaela Peterson, and others out there, you know, claiming that just eating the carnivore diet um, solved their health problems. There's no scientific evidence pointing in that direction. I mean, you can go on there yourself, and there was um, another. Uh, there was a doctor um, who had lost his license, over promoting this carnivore diet. I wouldn't I wouldn't even attempt to try it. I wouldn't even bother going to my doctor and say, "Hey, look, I found all this information on the internet about this carnivore diet and all of its benefits and everything like this. What do you think about that?" And I'm pretty sure my doctor is going to tell me that I'm absolutely crazy. I can't see a doctor in the right mind sitting down in front of you and saying, "Oh, yeah, the carnivore diet is just what you need." Unless he's a real quack and say, "Yeah, this is what you need so I can write you more prescriptions." No doctor's going to tell you that the carnivore diet is safe. But they shouldn't, anyways. But there are quacks out there that would just say, "Hey, let's do this so I can, get out my prescription pad and write the prescription for to lower your cholesterol." Oh, I'm going to have to put you on insulin now. Go ahead and keep eating fucking McDonald's and everything else all day long too while you're at it. I'm 60. I'm 60, and I tell you right now, over the last 3 years, I do not eat potato chips. I do not eat cookies. I do not eat pastries. I do not eat donuts. I do not um, eat white bread, or just what they call it, just with brown bread. I don't eat, all that sugary cereal. And I've drastically reduced my intake of animal products. That's just me. That was my choice. Being a long haul trucker back in the day, I had a really poor diet like everybody else, or like most people. Running around all day, trying to get the deliveries off, trying to get the pickups on, getting to the truck stop at a earliest convenience times I possibly could, so I'm not too late that I'm able to find a parking spot, grab my bag, go and have a shower, and then I'm tired, I'm hungry, I need something really quick. What's available to me? Pizza and chicken wings, McDonald's Burger King, Wendy's. I was game because I needed it now. I wasn't going to go in, go into the Flying J truck stop and, sit down there in the restaurant, order something off the menu, and still have to sit there for another 15, 20 minutes waiting for them to cook it and bring it to my table. No, they had it already made for me when I walked in the door. They had hamburgers out there. They had pizza out there. They had chicken wings out there. Well, right next door was McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's. Really convenient. Yeah, so I was guilty eating all that crap every single day. Not anymore. Even alcohol studies have come out that alcohol um, can cause cancer, and the alcohol intake, what you should be really drinking, once a week, twice a week, one beer a day, or whatever the case, whether it's wine or spritz or whatever the case may be. The best level of alcohol is no level of alcohol, zero. And even the microbreweries out there, um, and even the big breweries out there are making non-alcoholic beverages. Corona, Heineken, 0% alcohol. Tastes like a Heine, tastes like a Corona. But everybody, it's habits that we have. I mean, unfortunately, there's people who are alcoholics. It's unfortunate. They say don't do drugs. Well, there's drug addicts out there. What does alcohol do to the liver? Fatty liver, cirrhosis of the liver. What does smoking do to the body? Well, smoking affects every single organ in the body. So going back to red meat and processed meats, what I just, what I talked to you about, each 50 gram a day higher intake of processed meats such as bacon, ham, and sausages increase the risk of coronary heart disease by 18%. Each 50 grams a day higher intake of processed red meats such as beef, lamb, and pork increase the risk of coronary heart disease by 9%. You can go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac, a large fries, and a Coca-Cola, and you probably just sat down there and you just had 1,800 calories. For a male, an average sized male, a calorie intake shouldn't be more than 2,000. Children need more calories, but adults, you're more likely to level off. Okay, so at lunchtime, you just had your Big Mac, large fries, and Coca-Cola at McDonald's, roughly around 1,800 calories. And then on your way home, your wife calls you to pick up a 3-meat pizza. And then at 7 o'clock, your favorite sporting event goes on, but you don't feel like getting out of your chair, so you call Uber Eats. How many calories did you just put yourself into? Oh, I didn't mention breakfast. that breakfast egg sandwich that you just had, McDonald's for lunch and your pizza for dinner, and then whatever else you ordered at 7 o'clock because hockey's on or football's on or baseball's on or something's on, a good movie's on, and you potentially just put it in 2,500 to 3,000 calories before 8 o'clock at night. And then they wonder why you have an obesity problem in North America. Why do we have problems with heart disease, diabetes? I mean, is life too fast paced that we don't have time to sit down and really think about things? Do we have to have the meat and potato diet 7 days a week? No, we do not. When was the last time, maybe yourself and your families or whatever the case, when was the last time that you were with family and you took the time to make a nutritional meal, excluding red meat, animal products? So all kinds of healthy foods out there that give you the same protein intake as what meat does, and vitamins and minerals. No, we can't be, like for myself, cutting all that stuff out that I told you that I have cut out. You know, um, like I'm 60, so I mean, how many people do who is 60? Let's say just between the ages of 60 to 70. How many people do you know who aren't on any medications for cholesterol, for diabetes? High blood pressure? Are they on medications for that? I'm not on any medications, and my plan is not to be. And hopefully I can keep it that way. Medication, to me, is just a Band-Aid. Just to maybe give you a few extra years. Because doctors, and a lot of doctors out there, I'm not going to say most doctors or every doctor, and those like that, isn't going to treat you with nutrition. They're going to get that prescription book out and they're going to write you prescriptions. Pharmaceuticals are going to keep paying for studies. Government's going to keep giving pharmaceuticals money. Doctors are going to keep them in business. And they're going to keep writing you prescriptions. I was watching a program on nutrition and everything like that a few weeks ago, and at the end of the program, here in North America, or even part of the program here in North America, that it's illegal for doctors to treat their patients with nutrition. They have to treat you with medication. They'll give you your pills that you have to take. My doctor told me years ago, just lower your intake of potato chips, just lower your intake of cookies and donuts and all this kind of stuff. Didn't say by how much. Instead of having 6 cookies in one sitting, have 5 cookies. Didn't say that either. And I'm not telling you to do that either. No, but here's medication. No, don't change nothing. Here's your medication. How things going to look in a few years from now, I don't know. I mean, look at the cost of groceries. Look at the cost of the healthy. You go into the grocery store and you go all through all your vegetables. All your grains, all your fibers that you need. But the ultra processed foods are less expensive. So people are going to beeline for that because they can't go to the meat counter and get their chicken, get their pork, get their beef. Because a 6-ounce steak now costs $25. No, they're going to go say, okay, well, I need hamburger. Well, I'm going to go into the frozen department there and buy a box of hamburgers, but it's only got maybe, less than 18% of meat in it. You ever read the ingredients on that stuff? Hey, and don't worry, I was guilty of eating that stuff too. So do research. Try to do as much research as you can. Fact check things when it comes to nutrition. Talk to your healthcare professional about what is best for you. Because remember, your health is on you. But always consult your physician, about what changes that you potentially want to make in your diet. And that's where you want to start. Just go talk to your doctor. I can't give you advice. I'm not a doctor. I can just tell you to go talk to your doctor. Go talk to your doctor if you want advice. I'm just talking to you here about what the findings are and then the conflict of interest and the conflict of these studies. But a couple books you may want to buy too is one by Dr. Neil Bedard, is Eat to Beat Disease. And what was this other doctor's name here? Let me bring this up here. So one is Dr. Neil Bedard. You won't hear this, but I will. Oops, why is that doing that? Dr. Joe Furman. He's a nutritionist, and he has been um, all his career. So there's a video on YouTube. You can watch this video on YouTube. It's called "Do High Animal Protein Diets Cause Early Death?" The nutritionist diet, Dr. Joel Furman. It is approximately 16 and a half minutes. Of course, you can look up Dr. Neil Bedard as well. And Eat for Life is a book by Dr. Furman. You can get that. You can get that on Amazon at your local bookstore. And same with Dr. Neil Bedard. You can get his books on, Eat to Beat Disease. You can get it on Amazon at your local bookstore. Take a look at a couple of these books. I mean, these two doctors, I mean, they've been doing these studies for over 30 years. They're doctors. They went off the norm of, writing people prescriptions for every problem that you have, to going and doing real research on nutrition. So those two you may want to check out. That's entirely up to you. But I want to thank you for joining me this morning here on the Truckers Podcast. FYI, it is a rare Monday morning that I'm out here actually doing a show. I'm only out here doing the show today because I have the day off, because it's Family Day across Ontario. It's a provincial holiday, not a federal holiday, but company gave us the day off to spend time with family. Call it Family Day. So that's what I'm going to go do now. Spend time with family. So generally, I work Monday to Friday, and generally just doing my podcast on weekends. So Sunday mornings. But I want to get, I was for a long time doing Saturday and Sunday mornings. But things happened last year that just threw me for a loop, and set me back a few steps. And that was the passing of our father. And it took me a long time, and still is. It's still is affecting me, but I'm getting better. So I want to start implementing my Saturdays back and doing my show again. Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock in the morning, and Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, but like I said, I'm only out here because I have the day off. But other than that, as for right now, the show will go on next Sunday. And like I say, I'm still contemplating whether we're going to do a Saturday morning show or not. If I do, if you're following me and I post up a show, I'm pretty sure you get a notification that, the Truckers Podcast FYI is scheduled for such and such a day and time. So if I did put up a show for this coming Saturday, then, if you're following me, I'm pretty sure you would get that notification. But stick with the Sunday for sure. You'll see that notification come up for next Sunday to do a show, because through the weekdays, Monday to Friday, and the hours that I put in, I'm a local truck driver now. I don't do long haul trucking anymore. but I still put in anywhere from 12 to 14 hours a day. So for me to do a podcast Monday through Friday, or even any other weeknight or stuff like that, you know, I mean, by the time I get home, I want to get cleaned up. I want to eat. And then fatigue starts to set in. And you can't concentrate very well when fatigue starts setting in. You start getting tired, right? So that's why I don't do weekday shows or week evening shows or whatever the case may be. Do it on the weekends and get a good night's sleep and be fresh in the morning with a coffee in my hand. Come out here to talk to you. So I appreciate you coming on my show. Thank you for that. And until the next time we meet, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. And take care. Be safe. And thank you.